Well, good afternoon. It is July the 30th, and it's great to be with you again. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about providence and the providence of God. One of the questions you may have asked yourself over these past 5 months, or perhaps contemplated whether or not this pandemic that we find ourselves in just happened by chance. Was it just the unlucky roll of the dice? And now the world is suffering the consequences. I guess that could be a question we might ask in any situation or event that brings about heartache and devastation. Honestly, amidst the pandemic, I found my wandering thoughts leading me to ask God whether or not He's in this. I mean, certainly somewhere across our globe, there is someone who is suffering the effects of the virus firsthand, crying to heaven and asking, why? Maybe closer to home, you've gone through your own share of struggles and heartaches or tragedies that maybe are related to the virus or maybe not related. And the question is, why? Why do these things happen? Why do some very unpleasant moments happen to good people, decent people, Christian people? I mean, is there really someone in control? Well, there is something that will help us to understand, to provide comfort. And if at least it doesn't answer every question, it does help to provide a foundation for us to understand. And that is the providence of God. And though the word providence is not found in most translations of the Bible, the concept is certainly biblical. So providence refers to God's gracious oversight of the universe, meaning that He directs the course of affairs, that He holds everything together, that He is ever present and actively involved in every detail of life. We read in the Heidelberg Catechism, in question and answer 27, that providence is the almighty and ever-present power of the Father by which He upholds and rules heaven and earth and all creatures. I'm going to say that again. Providence is the almighty and ever-present power of the Father, by which He upholds and rules heaven and earth and all creatures. So in order to somewhat capture the meaning of God's providence, the following are 4 statements from Scripture. The first statement is that God upholds all things, meaning He sustains, He supports, He maintains all things. We read in Acts 17, verse 28, in Him we live and move and have our being. Colossians 1 verse 17, in Him all things hold together. So that's the first statement. He upholds all things. The second statement is He governs all things, meaning He oversees, He administers, He manages. 1 Peter 2 verse 25 says, for you were like sheep going astray, but now you have returned to the shepherd and overseer of your souls. So the first statement is He upholds all things, He governs all things, and the third statement is He directs everything to its appointed end. Proverbs 16 verse 9, I love this verse. It says, in his heart a man plans his course, but the Lord determines his steps. And so that's the third statement. So I want to say the first 3 statements. He upholds all things. Second statement, He governs all things. Third statement, He directs everything to its appointed end. And then finally, He upholds, governs, and directs for His own glory. So He does all of that for His own glory. Psalm 115 verse 3 says, our God is in heaven. He does whatever pleases Him. So from those 4 statements, we can conclude that God's providence teaches us that there are no accidents, only incidents. God doesn't roll the dice. Nothing happens by chance, ever. God is in charge of what happens, when it happens, how it happens, why it happens, and even what happens after it happens. And while God is not the author of sin, evil can still serve his purposes. He doesn't violate our free will, yet free will still serves his purposes. And we're not supposed to understand all of this. We try to get our minds wrapped around it, but what we are supposed to do is to believe that God is indeed in control. So I just want to leave you with that kind of devotional thought, that nothing happens by chance ever, that God is fully in control. And we've just read some of those passages in the Bible. And I want to close just this short devotional time with this poem entitled "He Maketh No Mistake," written by A.M. Overton. My father's way may twist and turn, my heart may throb and ache, but in my soul I'm glad I know he maketh no mistake. My cherished plans may go astray, my hopes may fade away, but still I'll trust my Lord to lead, for he doth know the way. Though night be dark, and it may seem that day will never break, I'll pin my faith, my all in him. He maketh no mistake. There's so much now I cannot see, my eyesight's far too dim, but come what may, I'll simply trust and leave it all to him. For by and by the mist will lift, and plain it all he'll make. Through all the way, though dark to me, he made not one mistake. So in the end, that will be the testimony of every child of God. For when we finally get to heaven, we'll look back over the pathway of life and see that through all the twists and turns and seeming detours, that he made not one mistake. And in the end, we will say with all the children of God, as we look back on our earthly pilgrimage, all things have come to us not by chance, but from his fatherly hand. The Lord bless you.